Hey, what's up, audience? Figured I would drop in and fill you guys in on what's going on. Woof! Things have been getting busy. All right, you gotta hang on a second. I gotta go get a bottle out of my driveway before I pop a tire. All right, back in action. So, yeah, it's been interesting. What I'm now going to refer with you guys to as the 5 Rings project is kind of taking shape. I'm getting together the resources and the hosting and installing the software and starting to put together some content for it, which is awesome. I have editors working on my friend's book that I published for him. That's cool. Had a great conversation a couple of days ago with another friend of mine who is a very talented artist who apparently drew a logo or an icon that I might be able to use for this channel, which is awesome. So all that is sort of proceeding apace, and to kind of get ready for that, I had a conference call last night with a client of mine, and we're moving into another sprint, and I'm going to try and knock that project out for them. And I have 2 other software projects in-house. One, we're just wrapping up a delivery sprint. We're in the final phases of testing, and it'll be good to get that sort of squared away for a little while. Whew. And then I got one more Windows C# UWP app to work on for those guys. So a lot of that stuff going on. I figured I would just sort of do that as an update. Okay, that all aside, let's talk the stainless steel rat. Now, you may not know what the stainless steel rat is, but in the old days, we've talked about books that I read when I was younger, and, this one didn't really come to mind until recently, but when I was thinking about it, I realized it was a big part of my reading at the time, though I can't claim that it was overly influential. The Stainless Steel Rat is a comedy sci-fi novel, sort of what you would call high fantasy or high space opera book by an author named Harry Harrison. And the Stainless Steel Rat himself is a sort of wrong side of the tracks James Bond-esque character. Think of the cat burglars that you see in the classic movies. So he was a thief and never carried a gun and really endeavored to never hurt anyone. He would use adhesives instead of guns and lasers and whatever, distraction instead of violence. And he gets, in classic fashion, a spoiler alert, he kind of gets, caught and pressed into service in a government, use a thief to catch a thief kind of agency, and then sort of deployed as a special agent. And the books are oddly gritty, but fun. They are wide-ranging. Space travel is common. There's some time travel later in the series. There's he gets married. They have kids. The kids grow up like him. It's kind of a wide, really interesting series. And I was struck by the fact that when I first read it, the first paragraph, and I'm going to do this totally by memory, but to paraphrase, it's written in the first person, and it says basically, the police robot broke into the room to find me sitting behind the desk, and it spoke and said, Jim DeGritz, I charge you, and then the quote ends, and the narrator says, I waited for the word charge before I hit the button. I thought it was fitting that way. The charge blew a hole in the roof. The bunch of concrete came down on the robot's head, which didn't bother the robot since his computer brain is actually armored in his stomach. And the book goes on from there, and I was struck by that. I waited for him to say the word charge because I thought it would be appropriate. And I was like, I'm in. I think I might have found that book at an airport or a rest stop book rack at the time, or maybe like a strip mall Barnes and Noble when I was traveling somewhere. I distinctly remember the book sort of saving me from boredom on a trip I was on. And we did a lot of cross-country driving when I was younger, so more likely to be a car trip than an airplane. But man, what a great book. What a great series of books. And there was an original trilogy, and then I sort of stopped following the series, and I find out now that even though that series started in the 80s or whatever, that Harrison wrote a version or an addendum to the series. He wrote a story in that world as late as like 2010, which in this case is basically the blink of an eye, because in my head it's still 2011 somehow. So I don't know, I was really intrigued and interested by finding out that there are more, though the reviews of the later episodes are a little mixed. I get the feeling maybe the series lost its way a little bit. But yeah, so there you go. I came across the author and the name, and then I looked him up on Amazon because I was going to buy the original trilogy, and I found out that there were more, and I went and did some reading and found out what people thought of the later instances of the series, and I'm kind of pumped that there's, I can go revisit this universe and then expand on it a little bit, and I'll read some of the other books and see how far it takes me. Though I'm currently in the middle of 2 other book series, so who knows. I'm reading the World War series by Harry Turtledove, which is sort of the definitive modern version of alternate history. I don't know, the closest relation some people might have right now would be, Man in the High Castle kind of a thing, though a little less creepy and a little more action-like. And then I'm also listening to, because I tend to read and listen to 2 separate books, I'm listening to a series of books in something called the Bobverse, which is about a guy who, in our time, who gets himself into one of those cryogenic suspension companies where he gets his head cut off when he dies, and they're going to freeze it, and then he wakes up in the future and they're using his brain as part of a interstellar probe instead of AI. So that's turning out to be kind of a blast as a book as well. All right, so I'm where I need to be right now. That's the fill-in. I'm hoping by the end of, well, we're pretty close to the end of March. Maybe in the first week of April, we'll be able to take our first look at the 5 Rings project output, and then we'll have a lot to do there. That's going to primarily be videos and text, but not this kind of a video, not this casual. I'll be doing very specific videos with a sort of a larger production value and quality to it, and some explainer videos, think whiteboards or animations and so on. I also have a herd watching post that you guys will be seeing, I don't know, probably by Friday. I have a series of 15 or 20 second little herd watching clips that'll be coming out. And then this weekend, we're going to look back on what happened during the week with the Gorsuch Supreme Court stuff and the FBI hearings. So there's a lot going on. I hope you guys are having a good time, and anyone who's watching this, if you have a YouTube channel or you're doing vlogs or whatever, shoot me the links. Get in touch with me. I would love to see what you guys are up to. All right, take it easy. Bye-bye.